To get into our first game, I'm super keen for this one. We get to see a classic North America versus Europe clash. Now, something we were talking about during our rehearsals before, the score is dead even right now.
Yes, it is.
At the Charlotte Major, it was dark 0. In fact, it was an all-NA final and an NA champion. And in Berlin, of course, on home turf, it was Rogue, the EU team, that won it. So that NA-EU rivalry is certainly getting a bit cheeky and getting riled up.
It starts right here as well with Soniqs and with MNM. Just look at these player photos. They are so beautiful. Oh, this is awesome. I love the yellow background.
Yeah,
it's so awesome. Okay, anyway, now we're getting straight into it. The Soniqs, they've had a bit of a resurgence in their roster. They dropped Super and Yeti to go with it, who went to SSG, who's also finding a lot of success there. But picking up Geometrics and picking up Gunnar, who is actually a Gunnar, and Geo has really brought in that IGLing and calling power to this roster while still putting, I suppose, it's no longer this 4+1 roster like we used to say Soniqs are. It really is this 5-man roster with the power of Geo on the side playing the hard breach.
Yeah, I'm super keen to see what Soniqs can do here at a major, because in Berlin, they really struggled. They ended up one of the worst rated teams at the event when all was said and done, and they weren't able to make playoffs, of course. Neither could MNM, though. They ended up just shy of playoffs. Now, they felt like it was in reach. I know that even though they're a fairly fresh team, they felt very hard done by. They knew they could do better, and they will push themselves to improve, as will the Soniqs. Like you said, with Super retiring, with Gunnar being brought in to replace Yeti, who went to Space Station. Also, by the way, that's a huge loss with how Yeti's been playing recently. Soniqs are looking to have a bit of a resurgence.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a lot of faith in Soniqs. I think watching them through NAL, a lot of people doubted. They were really skeptical about the change that came through. A lot of people wondered, how are they going to fare without Super, who's been that voice for the team? He keeps them together. He plays this very methodical leadership style, and now bringing in a new leader in the form of Geo in the Heart Breach, and then also bringing in Gunnar. They have that firepower in their roster that they never had before, even though they lost their 2 vocal players, right? And so coming into this major, I'm looking towards their problem-solving skills, how that's going to fare in the server, and how they can lean into that new firepower that they've brought on.
Yeah, and also, let's not forget some of the old firepower on this team. Grixer is, I'm just going to say, like one of the statistically most impressive players to ever touch the game. In Stage 2, he had a 1.21 CCG rating, and at the Major in Berlin, 1.26, keeping in mind that these guys got eliminated in last place in their group, and he's still punching numbers like that. Pure insanity. And in Stage 3, Rexon has been the man to talk about. He's been so good. He's been the 5th best player, or the 5th highest rated player at this event from Stage 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Grixer, Kanzan, and Rexon are the death trio, in my opinion. Once you get into the server, you're like, okay, I don't want to play against these guys. That is terrifying, especially on the defense, I want to say. Those 3 players are so good at holding their ground early on throughout the map. They're really good at being relentless on that entry denial. And I think depending on how the map veto goes, it could be very dangerous to play against this trio in the early round.
And that's one big difference that I see between your MNM and Soniqs. Soniqs are a team with star players. They will pop off. Yes. They will have these like 20 bomb games. You'll have, you know, remember the Kanzan 1v4 clutch.
Oh, no way.
You're going to have nut stuff like that. Whereas MNM are a lot more evenly rounded. Like, they're not the most highest rated players out there, but they are such a cohesive team. They've been together for a very long time. They haven't made a roster change in over a year. And this EU roster has gone from CL into EUL and now to back-to-back majors.
It's really exciting how they've progressed, isn't it? MNM, they started off as that team that was struggling to make those international events, but as they've come into their form, they're consistently here in this top 4. They've put all the doubts to rest as to whether they were going to be there in the first place, but now it's about taking that next step and not just being an international team, but one that's really competitive, that can push for that playoffs and that main stage, because that's really the experience that this roster needs.
Well, let's start breaking down this map veto. We are flying through this one. Having a look at my records, we are going to Chalet. It was Soniqs that got the final ban. They took out Oregon, which historically has been a bit of a mixed map for them. They have a negative win rate on it, even though they played it a lot. Whereas Chalet, they've only played the one time, and they did actually win that game quite convincingly by 5 rounds as a margin. So, look, that's a good win for Soniqs. It was a 7-2 against Beast Coast. That was way back in Stage 2, though. So I will say this is a bit fresh for me from Soniqs. It's clearly something they've been scrimming, they've been practicing on the side.
This is really interesting one to me too, because MNM, this is clearly in their map pool. They've played it twice in the last EUL stage, but it was against TT9 and Secret, and so I feel like although those are good games, it's a little harder to read into just how mature they are on this map. Whereas, yeah, I think, like you said, Soniqs, because it's so unknown, maybe going that territory of the unknown for MNM could be pretty dangerous, because there's a couple VODs out there, MNM, probably basic ones, right? But they're going in blind in this best of one series against the Soniqs. I think it's pretty dangerous, in my opinion. But if they feel like they're well prepared for it, they feel comfortable on it. That is the philosophy that they had when I was talking to them a little earlier last night. They just want to play maps that they're happy, that they're comfortable on, and just really get into the vibe, because it is 10 a.m.
Yeah, it is.
Early.
The M&M curse, isn't it? The morning games. And people love to say in these best of ones, anything can go any way. Of course, we do have that overtime scoring where you get more points for an overtime win, and then you still get a point for an overtime loss. But for M&M, right, they're going into a map that, like you said, they're pretty comfortable on. They played it twice on stage 2, twice on stage 3, and they won it every single time they played it. But you know, it's been a hot minute, and the game has changed. We've had operator buffs and nerfs, and I mean, a new operator come in as well. Not that that's really had any effect, I will say. But for me, it's M&M's chance to prove that they've really got what it takes to win here at a major. They're going to be gunning for playoffs. There's no two ways about it. If they stagnate, if they end up with that same kind of third-place group finish that we saw in Berlin, they will be devastated.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. And honestly, I feel like the more I think about this Chalet pick, Dev, I feel like this could really work in the hands of MNM. They're starting out on the defense, so I'm not entirely sure why they've decided to do that, because Chalet is typically attacker-sided. But I get the feeling that because they're starting out on that defense, it means that they can go look for those early entry denials as the attackers come in. Playing the cutoffs on the attack are pretty potent on Chalet, but trying to be in the face of that and trying to shut down Soniqs early, I think is maybe the way to go here on Chalet. Soniqs are probably a very difficult team to play against in their early rounds, but I feel like if there's any team to do it and they want to try it, MNM will do it on a map that they're comfortable on maneuvering around.
Yeah, and the game becomes, in a BO1, a lot about adapting mid-round and mid-game, because if you come out and a team has prepared something really unusual, whether it's a pocket pick or whether it's a really aggressive play style, you don't have very many rounds of leeway to start adapting to that. It's first to 7, and then you lose your 3-point opportunity in the group stage. For MNM, like you said, oh, look at that. That is, I love that. A little booklet with a little Chalet and the Soniqs logo. Very nice. Where was I? Oh, yes. MNM attacking first, rather defending first. They do have an attacker-sided Chalet. They are better on their attack than they are on their defense, but still they still have a positive win rate, 54% on their defensive face, and the game has changed a lot since they actually beat Rogue and Na'Vi on it in stage 2, which are pretty big teams to beat, I would say. So yes, it's been a hot minute since then. The map's changed a bit, but I'm pretty confident for MNM here. I do feel like this is, while it is an even game, for me personally, I'm slightly leaning towards MNM.
I am not sure yet.
Yeah?
I feel like this one is really, really hard to call because of how unknown it is to us on Soniqs on this map. I think that MNM starting on the defense for this is a very, very curious pick. I really do wonder what the thought process is going behind there. For the Soniqs, I can only imagine, yeah, okay, you want to bring something unknown. Once you get into the major and you start facing off the group, then you show your hand. Especially into a team like MNM where they are able to do that prep in advance on a map like Chalet. I don't really mind this move from the Soniqs, to be honest. I think that if they can get that upper edge, if they can bring something to MNM that they won't be prepared for, that they couldn't prepare for in advance because there are no VODs, then I think they could pretty easily take this map, especially starting out on the attack.
Yeah, wasn't it Pengu was saying he actually would put Soniqs up there in the shortlist for teams potentially going to win the major? I'm pretty sure Pengu said that.
Pengu said top 4.
Top 4, okay.
That's what he thinks. And he's trying to figure out whether that's a hot take or not.
I feel like it kind of is. These guys were one of the worst teams in Berlin. They went out first in their group, and I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but if you combine all of the standings and the round win losses from all of the groups, I think they were like in the bottom 3.
See, I don't know if I agree with you on that one, because after watching these guys go through NAL, I feel like they put to rest all my doubts that they had when dropping Super and losing their IGL. I feel like the new resurgence of the Soniqs is so much more powerful than the previous iteration of it. So I don't know if I would agree with you on that one. I feel like they could do pretty well this major.
One thing I will say for Soniqs is, like, you've kept Goddess consistently as the coach, and you know, she has been around for a long time. Gio's been around for a long time. He kind of fills maybe that void that an experienced player like Super leaving the team might have left. Even Yeti himself, very experienced player, very vocal player. Yeah. My question is, like, we're here on LAN, you know, well, I mean, yes, NAL is on LAN. It's a bit different when you fly across, you know, across the pond to Europe and you're playing in a foreign country. Yeah, across the pond.
Just a small pond.
Yeah, quite a big pond, actually. Yeah, for me, I do wonder, will Soniqs be prepared for this kind of big live event scenario? You're not playing on your normal setup. You're not playing even on what you're used to in the NAL studio in Vegas. It's quite removed. It's quite different. Yeah, you've got, you know, the guys like Rexon and Kansan have played here at events, even in Sweden at Six Invitational, for example. But I do wonder how this new look roster will fare come this big high-stakes event.
I'm really looking forward to it. I really liked their showing in NAL. I'm really impressed by this roster and how they've managed to rebuild over the last couple months, having picked up their new IGL and Geo. And honestly, I feel like this is the perfect game for them to test the waters against MNM. MNM are a team that they're EU. They play like an EU team, to be very frank. They're very set in their ways. And I think for Soniqs to test their formula against any team, I think MNM would be the most consistent one to test it against.
Yeah. Now, in Stage 3, it was actually Tyrant from MNM who really stepped up his performance. He's just outside the top 10 of highest-rated Stage 3 players at this event, which is quite a lot, considering we've got 16 teams, each with 5 players. So there's a lot of players, and being 11th ranked with our 1.2 rating is pretty impressive. But like I was saying before, it's the Soniqs who tend to dominate the stats. Rexon was 1.24, 5th rated at this event, and guys like Grixa are never going to have a bad game. Well, he might have a bad game, but he's certainly going to have a couple of good games in between and some insanely highlight moments as well. And like you said, Gunnar, statistically not insane in Stage 3, but back when he was on Parabellum, and his all-time stats are still very, very strong. I do wonder for Gunnar, what's it going to be like moving to this new environment, moving to a higher stakes game, a higher stakes performance, and playing these BO1s against European teams that they might not be so familiar with.
Yeah, I think for Gunnar in particular, he's had a pretty rough start. I think coming into the Soniqs, I think the shining light has really been Geo and how they've been able to enable that death trio, as I like to call them, and Grixa, Kansan and Rexon. I think for Gunnar, it's about coming into it with experience. He fulfills that role in this team where whenever they need something on the attack, like a really odd pick, like playing like Zero on Bank, for example, he's that guy that's going to pick it right. It's that odd pick that they just need to
play the fun roles.
Yeah, he does get to play the fun roles, but it's the odd kind of fun roles. You know what I mean? It's those roles that no one really knows how to play. It's a bit of a niche, and you sort of got to find your place into it. And I think as a new player, it's a very hard role to pick up, right? Coming into this LAN, first time, new experience. I just expecting him to just try and get comfortable with the environment, settle in with the team. But I think he's the perfect player that this team needs to complete that 5 roster. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the server. I think it's going to be great.
Might have all the right ingredients, but for me, sometimes it comes down to method and preparation. MNM have been a roster for over a year now without any changes, whereas Geo and Gunnar have only been on the Soniqs for 2 months. So what will they be able to get to do on their international debut as this renewed roster? They do edge out the community vote 52% in favor of the Soniqs. A split game here in this NA versus EU matchup on Chalet to kick off the Jönköping Major.
And of course, the first thing to come out is the Nook ban on Chalet. If there's anything that you're going to ban out, I reckon that's the perfect one to go against these Soniqs. I feel like, especially a player like Gunnar, like we said just earlier, is going to come out with some of those odd flex picks that could be very challenging to deal with. Second attack ban, of course, attackers do have a lot of tools, a lot of options now. And actually taking out the Twitch is an interesting one to me. It leaves in a lot of tools for the attack. You've got your Thatcher still in. You've got your Floras still in. The thought process behind this one is curious to me.
That's really interesting. I do quite like that. Usually when you ban the Nook, I think you're going to maybe rely a little bit more on default cameras to try and get a bit of map control. There's a lot of really powerful ones on this map that can't be shot easily from outside. And the Twitch is great at taking out those default cams. So yeah, a lot more information on the defense with those 2 attacking bans gone. But fortunately, the Valkyrie has been banned. So it's not like defense is going to have absolute 4K coverage of the entire of Chalet.
This is a very interesting ban phase. So MNM, they've chosen to start on the defense. They come into the game, and the first thing that they ban out is Nuke. Right? And so taking that out early against the Soniqs, I think is a pretty good move, to be honest. Not only that, but they've also decided to take us down to the basement as the first bomb site. Now, this bomb site, the way the architecture works, I think it plays really well into the bans that they've tried to go with. They're only segmenting off this bottom part. There are no windows to play cutoffs. There are no cheeky entries that you need to look at as well. And I think MNM, by doing that ban, are just trying to simplify down the map to something a little bit more manageable and achievable against the Soniqs.
Look, Manny, I'm going to be real with you. I hate this bomb site. Really not a fan.
Really?
I really not a fan of this basement bomb site. It's so year one to me. I know you've had a rework, but like, just get 2 hard breaches, open up a couple walls, or if you want, take map control and just vert the absolute living heck out of the site. It is not a fun one to defend if you start to lose that map control or you start to lose those breaches.
Well, that's the thing about getting map control for that basement. To play the vertical, you need to get control of lobby, right? And if there's any part of the map that's very difficult to take and try and gain that full map control, it is going to be lobby. You've got to worry about mezzanine, you've got to worry about the lurkin barn and kitchen, and essentially at that point, you've taken the entire map. Taking the entire map is always, no matter what map you play on, it's going to be a process, right? And that's why early on, these attacking teams have to decide, are we going to go for that total map control, or are you just going to hit the backside of the map and just do a big garage, try and open up that elbow wall, that type of thing. So it really depends on the way that they're going to approach it. Are they going to simplify it, or are they going to go for total control? And by going down to that basement site, by banning out Nuke, I feel like MNM have turned it into a very manageable bomb site because there are no windows to cut off, because there's no odd things to have to worry about.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of really extended roams as well on that basement. I unfortunately didn't get, before we hit that rehearse, which by the way, we didn't mention it, but yes, we are hitting a quick rehearse, but we'll be back in the game before long. I didn't manage to see all of the defensive lineup. I was looking at the attackers mostly, which to be fair was probably a stupid idea since they're probably going to repick anyway. But will they go for a roam, do you think? This is going to be like a very extended roam. We've even seen, I mean, the mirror's not banned. I've even seen a couple of like mirrors in dining kind of strats, like really extending out your hold. Are we likely to see a hard hold? Are we likely to see a bit of a kind of soft roam, shooting drones, falling back? What do you expect?
Well, I think the thing is, you have to roam. That's the main thing in this current meta. Because the attack has so many tools to deal with walls and get things open, you can't not roam. You need to put on that pressure early, because otherwise all your walls are going to be open. And like you said, that basement bomb site is pretty prone to that hard breach and cutting down the bomb site from externally, right? So I think we will see a roam at least in bar, I think, and maybe at least around that kitchen or top mezzanine area, because you don't want to give away that vertical control straight away. Not only that, but attacking it, if you get given that entire map control for free, that's typically quite difficult to do, right? It's difficult to achieve on its own. So even just putting a little bit of added pressure is kind of what you need to hold on to this basement bomb site.
I will say, even though we had that quick rehearse, I love to see all the players in good spirits. I think that was Grixer having a bit of a laugh. Someone was playing with the hand warmers. I will say, very cold here in Sweden. It's actually not that cold in the studio. I'm pretty warm.
A bit warm.
Yeah, I'm pretty warm here in the studio.
You're warm, but you've got your scarf on.
I know, but it's for fashion.
All in the name of beauty, bro.
All in the name of beauty. Actually, I actually quite like this scarf. I bought it yesterday. Do you like it?
I do like it. It's nice.
Let's talk about my clothes when we're on camera. How about, or just not at all? I think people would probably prefer that.
So here we go. What are we looking for from MNM? Like you said, they are dedicating some of those reinforcements to that top floor, to that mezzanine kind of area, because they don't want to give away that lobby control. Not only that, but they've even got a setup extended over on solar. So really, this top floor control is vital to hold on to MNM in order to protect the vertical, in order to have a way to fall off and give something for Soniqs to worry about.
I love that we've got the full 5-stack of just absolute ranked gunners as well on this defense.
Oh.
And yeah, Tyrant is going to get a kill 25 seconds into the round, taking down the Nomad, which is going to make Roma's lives even easier.
Little last-minute rotate as well for Nello to be able to fall off into the basement if needed. Now, Soniqs starting to shape their way around this southeastern bar side of the map, looking to cut down the roam that MNM have got going in that top floor inside of Library.
Geo on the Hibana. Oh, and there you go. He spots out the Aruni. Nello trying to hold not only his bar entry, but also this library window jump in. Such a difficult, if not impossible, angle to contest as an attacker. Nello really needs to be pushed from multiple angles.
And Soniqs, what is their game plan here? They are starting to cut down this room. Gunnar has just made his way into Mud Room and is starting to sneak down into the basement. Nello there with a trade. Rexon to come back from that top floor. Library hopping just as you said, but Tyrant, is he there to claw one back?
Oh, this is going to be a bit scary now for Rexon. Doesn't have a lot of support. He does have Grixer on the opposing window, but it doesn't matter because Grix is the only one left. In a 1v4, what a difficult position. Tyrant, a monstrous round. Cheeky wallbang to close it, and MNM show that Rome is the name of the game.
Big fan of the way that MNM played that basement bomb site. You said it wasn't your favorite, but I loved the way that they approached.
We didn't go anywhere near the basement that whole round, Mandy.
Well, that's the charm of the strat dev. They knew that they don't want to give up the map, because as soon as you give up the map, you give up lobby control, and that's vertical. That's going down, right? Those walls, they're going to be open because you have your Thatcher, you have all of your hard breach. You don't want to be sitting on the site. If you're sitting on the site in this basement with those bans that have come out, you're going to die. You're going to be dead. You're going to be cut down. And so going for that top floor roam and making sure they're contesting the Soniqs that way is exactly the right way to play that, and they played that beautifully as well.
For me, it's a bit of a game of chicken, isn't it? Like, if you know that all of the defenders are roaming and really contesting that map, then you might go and try and get a quick breach on site and bait them into falling off. But if you know that they're all anchoring, then you might take map control. It's a game of information and of reading your opponent.
Now they're going to be taking us to this bar and games bomb site. They're actually bringing along the mirror as well. And we've got one immediately put inside of mezzanine, the second one inside of storage. That mezzanine one is going to make a jumping in through library pretty tricky. They've also got the angles being held inside of small box with two Rios there. That contests that double window hopping as well. So really it's this two-way, two-facing crossfire that's going to be protecting that mezzanine. Now how will Soniqs deal with it? Are they going to directly attack library? Is this what they're going to look for? Or are they going to try to sweep the map?
Well, I will say, we got Soniqs picking both Lion and Dockerby. So they want to clear out any roamers. They want to make it a pain to move around, to hide. They want to get that free information. As the first E1D roars out, Users is playing this cheeky pinch position in the corner of library.
And it seems like this is going to be the first step as well for Soniqs. They want to dedicate some of that utility just to clear off that corner of library, see if they can find a pick. We've already got the stuns set up on the side of Geo on the window. He's on the Hibana, as well as the double nades in the form of Gunnar and of Kanzan. If they can coordinate this onto Users, he could be a dead man. Ooh.
Wow, okay, it turns out it's a bit of an Uno reverse card. It's Users with a C4. Not only takes out Kanzan, but gets the injure onto Geo. That is huge. What a difficult position to flush out, even at the best of times, and now it's looking like the worst for Soniqs.
But here we go. This is a bit of a lurk from Grix. So there is a player onside the Solar Stairs, and I think that's the Malusi of Neo just on the other side. Is he aware? He decides to fall back and give away a little bit of this Solar side of the map. Grix now making his way inside of Kitchen. He's going to be able to cut down some of those anchors inside of Bar from this position if he can make his way into jungle.
I mean, really powerful position from Grixer, but really to me it feels like MNM are the ones that have to make a mistake here in order to let Soniqs get into this round. It looks like MNM have actually forfeited control of library, at least playing inside of it. They're playing from around library now, but here comes Rexon. Lovely little pocket EMP as he walks through the bar door and spots out the Jaeger on side, but it doesn't matter. Nello is there and he gets the double. All up to Gunnar and Geo now. Low HP for Geo, but Gunnar here. One kill to his name, looking to double down. There's 4 opponents to find, but it's desperation for Soniqs.
There's 4 opponents, but just look at how disciplined MNM are being about this. They're not giving away any of these picks. They know exactly where Gunnar is, just outside his library window, and they're not looking at him from the angle. Solotov is able to clean up one more onto Geo, and now it's Gunnar in the 1-on-4.
Yeah, he's walking straight into a mirror window. He can take down Nello, but there's Solotov up on the library hatch, and it's 2 very convincing rounds for MNM.
You could tell that Users has scrimmed that position so many times in the corner of library. He sat there, he had his C4 prepped with a lineup to get it over the top of the shelf just as that utility started to come through. And that perfect timing to fall off the hatch, take down Kanzan, that was your set of nades gone. It all eventually fell apart from there. Someone had to rotate, pick up Geo, and by then there's just so much time wasted. That direct attack didn't work, and really they were playing straight into the hands of those mirrors.
You know what, Mandy? I think I got a feeling I know why MNM picked to start defense here on Chalet.
Yes.
They know their way around a defense on this map, I tell you what.
I was questioning it at the start. As soon as we got that veto come through, I was like, defense? MNM? to Soniqs, the early round team, but they're showing us exactly why they did it. They have a great read of the way that Soniqs attack this map. Every single strat that they've brought out, Soniqs seem to have played into their hands. And even with no VODs on this team, I'm really impressed by what they've been able to bring out so far.
5 seconds to insertion.
Yeah, they are really confident, and they're bringing a lot of little, I'm not going to say pocket strats, but they're taking a lot of concepts that people have done before, and they're just innovating in little ways. Like, you know, don't often see Mirror on that side. You don't often see Castle here on this side. Immediately being dealt with. Gunner's actually going to use an Ash breaching round. Kind of surprising not just get sledged to the hammer, but I guess it is a matter of urgency.
Gunner, of course, like we said, he is that bit of an X-Factor player for the Soniqs. He's the one that makes the odd pick and enters through the odd spots. He's already made his way up through the West main and Tyrant, that was able to shut down Geo there on the Hibana. That's your hard breach going down early. But Gunner, hang on.
Gunner's in the middle of site. Rexon's already found a pick, and the site has been taken. What on earth has happened here? It's going to have to be a retake now for MNM, as Solotov's already found one. Coming down from the solar stairs. Can get another one. Quick finish off with the impact. And perhaps Gunner has bitten off a little bit more than he can chew here in the site. MNM are not to be fooled.
Really quick retake on the side of MNM, and now Kansan left all alone with the diffuser in hand, making his way up West main, has been spotted by the player just behind that Solotov on the other side, contesting these angles early. Not just that, but look at that, News even got the vertical control. It's going to be impossible for Kansan to win this one.
And there you go, quick pre-fire from Solotov, and the Turk on the lurk is so good on that retake. MNM, 3 rounds straight.
MNM, it just feels like they are so prepared coming into this match. Like, absolutely everything that they have done, they've been able to shut down everything that Soniqs do. It's like they're just ready for it, you know? The moment that Soniqs try and change the pace. They tried to do it in that round there. They tried to hit the site early. Even in the previous round when the Soniqs pivoted and went for that lobby-sided take with Grixa inside of Kitchen, it just felt like MNM was straight on it. They immediately matched pace with the Soniqs and are able to shut them down. And that's something that's very uncharacteristic playing against this NA roster.
And we're taking a tactical timeout now for Soniqs. Man, they certainly need to get on it. In EUL, this map, Chalet, is actually dead 50-50 over 56 rounds. So it is not spelling death yet for Soniqs, because they could, in theory, even up the scoreline going into the second half, make it 50-50. Having a look, it's actually quite defensive favoured in NAL. Over 51 rounds, it's a 57% defense win rate. So perhaps Soniqs aren't too stressed yet. They will have confidence in their defensive side. But the thing is, MNM statistically have been very good at attacking this map. So in my mind, Soniqs really have to gun for this 3-3 half here. A 2-4 may well not be enough, and a 1-5 or an 0-6 is, I think, GG.
Going back down to this basement bomb site for MNM, doesn't look like they're changing up their strategy too much. On the side of the Soniqs, though, they've changed their lineup quite significantly. They're not going to go for that roam clear as indicated by their repicks. We've got double hard breach in the form of Geo and of Gunner. We've also got the Thatcher coming out on the side of Grixa instead. So maybe looking to change their approach. Let's not contest these guys on the roam. Let's go try and open up some of these walls, force them to come back down onto the side and force them into that retake situation.
In my mind, if you're facing good roamers, you really need to do a little bit of both. You can't clear out a roam without pressuring the site, because the roamers know if there's no site pressure, then they can just keep committing to that roam. If you start to bait a little bit, a site push, especially after Soniqs did a rush that last round, it would force MNM to perhaps be a little bit more conservative, not commit quite as many players and resources. And that's why I'm really glad to see Gunner just straight on it, opening up this breach. That said, MNM can still be pretty happy that the entry won't come through yet with those Surya gates already blocking the way. As I say that, Gunner's going to take one of them down.
I don't mind what the rest of the Soniqs are doing, though. Even though they're directly hitting the site with that, with those ace charges going on, or with those Selmas, they've placed the rest of their entries and their cutoffs, anticipating that MNM are going to get a little bit overzealous on that retake and come back too quickly. So far, the MNM roamers are playing this one pretty patiently. They can see the lobbies being open, they can see that West main is starting to be contested, and they don't want to fall into that trap early. Solotov even is able to take the fight onto the trophy window and take down Kansan.
Yeah, 1 minute into the round, and he's already found a kill. He's 8-0 at the moment. Solotov, I mean, everyone who's an MNM fan, very thankful that he got his visa right about now. Oh my God, another one! When is he going to stop?
There is another player outside that trophy winner, that's Gio, and he's just missed him a little bit on that cutoff playing inside of Split. Now the Soniqs, they really cut down on their resources. They cut down their resources in firepower, and it's going to be up to them to claw back some of these picks on the roam. Now, MNM, what have they done with this information and with this man count? Have they actually fallen back to the side, or are they still... They're still holding on, Dev. They are still holding on to this roam, even though they have such a strong man advantage. They know that there's just simply not enough Soniqs players to be able to take this full map control. They don't want to give it away.
I think the MNM Morning Curse might have worn off. Perhaps it's been transferred to Sleepy Soniqs. I can tell you what, Solotov is certainly not asleep. He is firing on all cylinders. He's about to hit double digits, and he hasn't even died yet.
They're being so patient about this. Gio has made his way into the basement instead, but this is going to be such a dangerous position for them to be in. They're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Any second now, they're going to open up the site. They're going to be stuck between an anchor. And now, oh, hang on, Gunner. Okay, he just sees one, but Solotov is able to get the trade back, thankfully. Now the trade is starting to go back and forth as well. Back up the west main, Grix is able to take one down now. 2-on-3 situation, but still anchors left on the site to deal with.
Well, at least if I'm Soniqs fan right now, I'm saying, all right, Solotov's dead, it's winnable. But here is Neo, hasn't found engagement yet. Grixer does manage to trade out Nello, making it a 1v2 for poor Gio. Hasn't found a kill as of yet. There you go, gets his first. Can he clutch up? He's got to land the shots on the users who goes for the peak, but the Warden comes out on top. An MNM streak will not be broken.
Oof, that was getting a little bit scary though for MNM. I really thought they had that one in the bag, and then as soon as Gunner was starting to peek through the hole, I was like, oh, does he see him? Does he see him? It's just part of the wall, but he eventually got it. MNM almost giving away that to a 1 versus 1, but eventually clawing that one back. I didn't mind the approach from Soniqs there. That tactical timeout was clearly to talk about the philosophy going into it. They said, okay, let's not contest them early in the roam, try and cut them down, force them back onto the site, and then play those cut-off positions when they rotate back. But MNM are so disciplined. That's what they were on that roam. They went, okay, we know that they are cutting us off. We know that this is Chalet. We've played this map so many times like we saw in their match history, and they weren't going to fall for that Soniqs trick.
No, Solotov's been falling for not much. He's been having the game of his life. It's honestly very rare that you see a player perform just this well to kick off a game. The fact that he got 10 kills before dying is ridiculous. It's unheard of. And the fact that that only happened in 4 rounds as well. I mean, the poor guy's streak's been broken. He's now been traded. But hey, I'll take a 10.0 KD.
Yeah, imagine
I'll take that.
Pretty incredible from MNM. I'm really impressed by how little silly mistakes they're able to make, you know? Like, they've come into this map and they just look so mature. Their strat books looks really fleshed out. Even the timings that they're able to fall off and play it, it's just perfect. The execution's fantastic. Now the Soniqs are going to have to look to claw back 2 more rounds if they want to come back in this attacking half. Grixer, he's back on that entry. They've still just left the hard breach onto Gio. It is, in fact, bar game, so you don't often need that much hard breach, but they're actually going to bring the cap tower to try and deal with this library corner instead.
I'm really mindful of this early round. Every single round, the opening kill has gone to MNM within a minute.
Oh.
Wait a second. Kansan, he drops straight in. Nello trades him before he's able to do much damage. Perhaps there was information for Kansan that there was no one playing that mirror, but that's a huge risk to take, and it doesn't work out.
Nello's fallen back onto the side, but what that means is how much library control have they given up at this point? There's no one playing in that corner library anymore. They don't need to do that utility jump. They just need to worry about Solotov here inside of Mezzanine. Meanwhile, Gunner, he's putting the pressure on the site from inside of Mudroom. MNM have a lot to worry about.
Yeah, there's a lot to worry about now for Soniqs, to be frank. Still a huge amount of roaming. Solotov's just protected his mirror, taking down the Hibana pellets. I do like that play from Gio to use Hibana. But really, I wish there was someone on this reverse repel, because that would have punished Solotov already. There's still no one. He could just swing this and take down the X-Karos. He doesn't want to risk it, but the option's there. Oh, he saw the play across, saw the shadow, and Rexon's made his way into lobby and back out again.
And this is problem-solving time for the Soniqs. They've got their drones in. They've seen the setup that MNM are doing. It's adjacent to the site. It's not directly inside. You've just got Nello there. And how are they going to deal with that? They try to attempt jumping inside of Library, but Solotov now has the diffuser in his hands inside of Library as well. Nello to take down another, and once again, MNM in the man advantage.
Yeah, such a significant one too. And map control and diffuser still firmly within MNM's grasp. It could be a kill, and it is. Good recoil control to get that back on track for Grixer. Takes down users, but here's Neo on the vertical angle. What a cheeky one. All on Grixer, the man himself. So hyped up. Such a phenomenal player, and there's the first of the 3 he needs. Time to work with here.
30 seconds as well, making his way up the library stairs. Where are the last 2 MNM players? Time and time again, they have been known to throw, as we've been told from our lovely chat. And now, starting to make his way around the library box. Are they going to give it away to him? But there are 2 MNM players there to be met.
They got that diffuser within their grasp. They got time on their side. He's got to land 2 nutty shots. That's the first one. And now he's got the mirror. It's Grixer again. He always does it. He always delivers. Soniqs find their first round on the back of a 1v3.
And that is such great Soniqs fashion as well. We always say Grixer, Kunz, and Rexen, those guys are your death tree. You don't want to give them anything. They have so much individual prowess and gunpowder that you really just cannot be giving away those one-on-ones like that. Even though MNM were playing so close together, even though they were almost there for that trade, Grixer's just too sharp on that Zofia.
Yeah, man, if I'm MNM, I'm regretting that one. You said it, they admitted themselves. They are prone to sometimes ceding their advantages, throwing a little bit. Actually, was that a 1v3 or a 1v4? I think it was a 1v3, but he found a 4K on the round. He found the last 4 kills. Almost a 1v4, to be frank. That's the firepower you expect from Grixer. And perhaps for MNM, that's a bit of a harsh lesson. They still have the advantage, and they're still, in my opinion, looking likely to take this 5-1. Don't expect Grixer to be able to do that every round. But they do have to be careful, because if MNM let rounds like that through, it'll get very scary.
Look, if you ask me, it was bound to happen eventually. We are watching MNM on Chalet after all, but they're looking to go back to this Baron Games bomb site, identifying that, well, they didn't make any macro mistakes there. That all came down to the micro and just those final few gunfights. There's nothing that was glaringly wrong with their strategy. So they're going to go back again, not really change their setup all too much, and we'll see what Soniqs have to offer. Now, Gunnar, he's on the Amaru. That interests me, and we no longer have the hard breach as well of Geo. He's been enabled by those Flores drones to take down more of the utility on his own.
Well, it's a last chance now for Soniqs to find a round on their attacking side. Like I was saying before, if this is not a 2-4 half for Soniqs, I just cannot see them winning this game or even pushing overtime. And having 0 points at the end of this match would be devastating.
Oh, but here we go. Kunz in here with the Capital Bolt off the back of some of these C4 as well from users. The flashbangs don't really connect, and he's able to get away with his life. Not actually flash, able to fall back through the hatch. And Kunz, though, he does have that corner of library control now in his hands. It's up to MNM to see how they're going to hold on to this entry point. Soniqs, are they going to rotate? That's my question, right? Now that they have this corner library control, are they going to keep contesting MNM from here, or are they going to go somewhere else?
Well, once again, that's 6 for 6 opening kills for MNM, with Geo going down, but a bit of map control, a bit of a backstab from Gunnar. What's he going to be able to do on this Amaru here?
Starting to make his way through the piano room. Just crouch walking in, but MNM not giving away their life to him just yet. He may be met by a player at the top of these library stairs any second now. That's a shield, and that's Neo sitting behind it on the Jaeger.
Actually, you might not have seen him. Tyrant has to be careful not to be caught out here, but it really is Neo's job on the stairs there to cut him off. Here comes that E1D. Oh, Gunnar's got information. He goes for that wall bang, and he does eventually nail down Tyrant, but Neo's taken down Kansan and is still holding on to the top of these stairs. Still man advantage for MNM as well, but we've seen that they can let that slip. What is going to be able to do on this Amaru?
That utility burn is starting to come through, and so Neo's just made his way back down to the basement library stairs instead. The rest of Soniqs pivoting over to that library control instead, now that they have mezzanine. All the MNM players now much more claustrophobic, left on the bomb site, ready to face the onslaught of Soniqs.
This is good progress for Soniqs. They have that control above and around the site. Now they just have to start finding some picks and getting ready for that execute.
30 seconds now, but Rexen on so low HP and MNM still in the man advantage. They have to make something happen.
But here comes Solotov. He's been the hero of this game. Can't land the second spray. Grixer's going to have to go big like he did just one round before. Rexen low HP coming down from blue stairs as Grixer makes his way in from lobby. This is going to be a difficult one. He's got 2 players in his sights. Can't land the shots. It's going to be a 5-1 half for MNM to kick off the major.
And what a fantastic end round there from MNM as well. We could see from Grix's POV, that was a visible 3-2-1 swing from MNM. Yeah. Where whoever the player was on library says and whoever was inside library, that was a very visible, all right, ready, set, okay, go. Now we're going to fight Grixer because they know they can't give away their man advantage like that. Much more discipline from the side of MNM. Even though they forfeited that control of that top floor and of that kitchen side to Soniqs, because there was just so little time and because they were so disciplined and swung together right at the end there, that clawed the end round in their favor much, much more convincingly.
Well, Mandy, we switched sides, and there are absolutely no doubts now why MNM picked defense. They are defense chads on Chalet, it seems. 5-1, Tyrant, Solitov, 13-2. Absolutely nutty stuff. Oh, man, it's scary for Soniqs. I'm now having a look at the Berlin Major. The combined standings, I correct myself, they were actually 4th last. So they did end up getting above Gaming Gladiators. And Soniqs did end up getting a win in the Berlin Major. They're certainly looking rough to get a win this game, though, I will say.
I'm really impressed by the way that MNM were able to play that defense half. That showed a lot of discipline. Chalet is one of those maps where it's very easy to make a silly mistake. It's very easy that once you're on that roam, you get the timing wrong on the fall off and you get cut off from a window, something like that, such as the architecture of this map. But MNM knew exactly the timings that they wanted to fall off. They knew exactly where was safe to do it and where wasn't safe to do it, and they didn't do it until they had that information and knew. Now they're on their attacking half. The Soniqs are going to have to repeat that same form if they want to. Hang on a second, Dev. I don't even think I should keep talking. MNM, they're looking like they're going to rush straight into the bomb site. This
is a set piece. Look at Nello droning this out. We got Neo ready with a sledgehammer. I hear a Gon 6. I hear 2 Gon 6s. I hear the jump in. Doesn't need the hammer. The window was prepped all along, and here comes Tyrant. He's got full piano control. He's found a double. Kansan and Geo to retake. Off in La La Land. Nowhere near the site. Poor Geo. What's he going to be able to do? In Dining now, he does still have a bit of control of the map, but he's been spotted out. He's, well, the Piranhas are circling. He's in such an awkward position. It's a flawless round, and guess what, Mandy? Match point for the EU favorites of MNM.
Fantastic change of pace as well from the side of MNM. They knew that they were going to look for that top floor hold. Because it is kitchen, you need to hold on to that hatch for as long as possible, play that vertical, prevent them from coming up West Main early, and they were able to make such an explosive entry. The momentum on the side of MNM is exactly what they capitalized on in that round. They knew that the Soniqs, they're feeling disconnected, they're feeling sparse right now, and catching them off guard with a fast-paced push, with a jump in like that, is exactly the way to play against a team that is disconnected right now.
So I think what happened is the defenders had actually double hit the bathroom window. Yeah, the bathroom window. There you go. Yeah, the jump. I guess usually it would be to jump out on someone who's playing on the balcony or like somewhere else, maybe on the library rappel. But yeah, that certainly did not pan out for them how they intended. I'm going to say it now. I think I mentioned it earlier, but now that we're 7 rounds in, I think it's especially relevant. Every single round, MNM have found the opening pick, and Soniqs have only traded it back 1 time.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. I'm really impressed by the way that MNM are starting to play into this LAN environment as well. MNM, they're a team that they were always considered the underdogs in this LAN situation, right? They're always the newbies here. They crumble under the pressure. But right now, the confidence that last round exuded is just unmatched by Soniqs in the series, who are actually LAN veterans, right? This team has really come into their form, and they're really looking comfortable, even in a 10 AM game. And just, yeah, this has been so impressive from their side.
It certainly has. What a phenomenal start to the performance. Like you said, 10 AM game as well. We love harping on about that. It's not over yet, but for me, it just feels like a formality at this point. And what a shame for Soniqs. I mean, they had such a resurgence in Stage 3. They've had 2 months with this new roster, and it's been enough to make it to a second major for this year, but is it going to be enough to make it out of groups? I'm not too sure.
I really like what Nello's just done there. He's gone on the floors and he's cleared the 2 Malusi Banshees inside of lobby. And what that means is at any time, MNM could hit lobby if they would like. And that gives a lot of pressure to the Soniqs. They need to be actively watching that because they have no more passive intel to deal with it.
So smart from MNM. Oh, look at this wall bang from Rex and good read. Solitov taken low. Not taken out as of yet. Gio's really feeling this pressure though, playing in the corner of Library. Such a difficult spot, he's been droned out. Tyrant is taken down by Rexon, and finally for the first time Soniqs get the opener.
Bit of a switch up in positions though from MNM. Users has decided to go into the lobby instead and is able to take down Grix, and now man advantage even. Two players just outside of Library getting ready for that utility burn. That's Nello with a flashbang out at the moment, starting to clear out that corner Library position. Syria Gate's just been reset, and suddenly this has made it a little bit more tricky for MNM to make their way into Library.
I'll admit, I'm kind of scared now for MNM. This has looked like a really good Soniqs round. They've wasted so much time. They still have that player corner Library, but there's Gunner taken down to that nade. That's the player in the corner Library, I believe. If not, then the player in corner Library has fallen back. Oh no, it was actually at Mezzanine. That's a nice nade. I love the splash you can see. Here comes Kansan though, so Soniqs may be on a resurgence.
Mana advantage even once again, and MNM are going to have to be very careful to try slip through the cracks of this defense, but they only have 35 seconds left to do it. Tyrant, he's been taken down low and is very, very dangerous going into this bomb site.
Here comes the map control that MNM have been searching for. And with it, the vertical game is enabled. Sledge getting to work. Not a lot of time left. Kansan on site with that DMR, watching the hatch drop. Realistically, MNM need to find a pick before they can collapse on the site, and there it is. That's Kansan going down. Here comes Gio. Oh, but he's been taken out. This could be it, Mandy. It's all up to Rexon. He's had a phenomenal round so far, and he's got the diffuser. He's going to keep pushing it. And he does. He clutches it on time. Soniqs, they keep their heads above water.
Oh, what a back and forth round that was in the late round as well. The Soniqs, they gave away so many picks to MNM getting that lobby control. Like I said in the early game, getting those Banshees off the wall really ended up paying off for MNM. They had to force Soniqs players to watch it actively. We saw users get in and out. Nello was able to get in and out of there as well. And just the reciprocity of that, the attrition of that round was pretty crazy, right? It was the difference between getting library control and getting lobby control, and who was worrying about what position at what time. And as the round continued to go onwards, it just happened to be that Soniqs came out on top with the diffuser in such an awkward position.
Oh. Yeah, well, one thing I will say for Soniqs is that felt to me like the first round where they really had some confidence, they had some control. And it started with Rexon just running around the map on that Oryx. He also ended up clutching the round. He found the opener and he clutched the round, so huge one from him. Even though, as you can see from the kill scoreline, Soniqs has been struggling. Not a single player going positive at the moment.
Now the Soniqs are going to take us down to this basement bomb site and employing quite a different philosophy to what MNM are bringing as well. They've got a mirror just inside of dining, as pointed out to us, and they're still holding on to this top floor roam as well, aided by that mute to try and deny those entry drones, holding on to this position inside of closet for as long as possible, forcing MNM to make a decision here. Are they going to go for that roam clear, or are they going to try and hit the site directly?
They have time to work it out as well. We've seen that MNM are happy to assess their situations. They don't always commit to the same bush every time. Down in Snowmobile Wine, though, a couple of defenders still reside, I believe. Not all roaming as of yet. How many roamers do we have? The Grixa, Gunner, Rexon. I think that's it? Just the three.
So I think Nello is about to open up the window for Tyrant to make an explosive entry. If I'm not wrong, I could be reading this completely wrong.
There you
but
go.
Tyrant is going to have a full mag when he entries into that top floor. Do the Soniqs know?
Do they have the info is my question. Solotov's now made his way into office. It's protected as well. Opening up a line of sight as Gunner on that slow operator starts to fall back, and you can see all these three roamers from Soniqs starting to peel their way back. Except for Gio, hiding up in library.
But MNM, now is the time that they can set up this mid-round. If they want to, they don't need to clear the entire map dev. All they need to do is make sure they can't retake this top floor and they can't retake kitchen if they want to go for a backsided take in the big garage, right? And that's exactly what those flank drones have just been set up. I might steal Tyrant's drone here, or is it that he's just put inside of library for my own ranked games? And what that's doing is that's segmenting off this attacking side of the map. They can now bring their hard breach down on Neo. They can bring users as well with those EMPs to start working the back as the rest of the MNM players are left on the cutoff, anticipating the retake that will come through later on.
Taking a moment to breathe, I want to appreciate Neo's skin choice. Very, very nice.
Now, Easy, I'm going to borrow you for a second. Could we have a quick look at what Tyrant is looking at on his drones? I know that is a very frustrating thing. So Tyrant on these 2 drones has segmented off this top side of the map. He's actually just seen Geo cross on that second drone. He's gotten off his drones now, anticipating that he's going to open up the hatch with the shotgun or coming down the solar stairs. Meanwhile, though, Gunner's able to take down Solotov on the side.
Nello does manage to get a trade back on site, though, and Geo has been cut off. Look at that, Mandy. You said it.
I said it.
Tyrant read it perfectly. And now MNM are going for this plant. The smoke may well make that a little bit more difficult. Gunner certainly will, as he's going to live up to his name before he is shut down. 2v3 now, but of course it's Grixa for a double. He's the saving grace that Soniqs needed. Tyrant now might be on flank watch duty, but now he's on clutch patrol. 1v2 is going to go hunting down in blue, and Kazan is not going to give him anything. A quick spray, and Soniqs starting to mount this comeback.
That was some really nice composure there in the site from Soniqs. Even though that execute came through, even though that flank watch came through as well and Geo couldn't be successful on it, that plant denial they had in the form of the smokes, in the form of the C4s, they played that to perfection. They threw in the utility. It didn't overlap. They wasted a lot of time as a result. The C4 went through at a different timing to the smoke, and it really stalled out MNM as they were trying to get into the bomb site, even though they had their walls open, right? As a result, able to take another round. We're now at 3-6 for the Soniqs. Manageable scoreline, but still dangerous at match point.
Yeah, look, it's going to be a real tough slog to get to that overtime for Soniqs, but now that they've got 2 defenses in a row under their belt, and the comfort of having at least 1 attack on their previous side, thanks to the Grix's 1v3, it's starting to feel a little bit more doable. I will say, on the face cams, this whole game, Soniqs have looked pretty quiet. Not the energy that we used to expect from them. Perhaps, you know, maybe not having Yeti is affecting that a little bit. I haven't watched as much NAL of these guys as I did watch them, you know, at the previous major and back at Six Invitational. Can't tell whether they're quiet because they've been struggling this game or because that's just their personalities now.
I think if there's any asterisks on this roster, it's the problem-solving skills, right? Before they had Super, and Super had a very methodical way of IGLing this team. He had a checklist to go through each map. He had a method and a way that each team knew really well. But what you need in this current meta is adaptation, and you need a very vocal roster, and you need one with really strong problem-solving skills. And if you don't have that IGL, and if you don't have that super vocal roster that hasn't been together for a very long time, it can be quite challenging, especially when you're going against a team like MNM, who've clearly been very well prepared for this single best of 1. This strat book is pretty intense. It's going to be very hard for this roster to get back into it with the nature of their team dynamic.
MNM circling. Oh, what a shot from Gunner. He's had a phenomenal 2 rounds now. He was one of the saving graces for Soniqs on the site, whittling down those defenders, and now Tyrant's taken out. This is actually not looking too shabby for Soniqs here, Mandy. It turns out it wasn't that it was an MNM opening kill game, it was a defense opening kill game.
Well, I don't mind the approach that MNM have gone for here. They're going to look for this kitchen solar-sided take. Solotov has just made his way into jungle, anticipating that a defender might be trying to retake this position. But in fact, kitchen has been given up to them. They do have the buck in their hands on Solotov. And so once that onslaught does start to come through, the utility to clear out closet, that's going to be doubled down with that vertical pressure. And they're going to be able to start to cut down this defense from a floor below.
Here comes those Capitao firebolts from users, caught by the magnets and ineffectual. That's quite unfortunate for users, did not fulfill his goal. Solotov looking for this vertical game, waltzes up the solar stairs and got full vision into that site. Geo's in a powerful position here in the bathroom, but where will this push from MNM go from? What a shot from Solotov! It's a double, and he's cracked 15. 4v3 now, and this man is hungry for more.
And the buck is going to be so dangerous on that softball with the sledge as well. They can now make a running hole into the bomb site. They don't need vault in or do anything dangerous like that. And that execute could come through at any time from the MNM.
Here comes Nello with that execute, as you said, 40 seconds still on the clock. And Neo is the saving grace. That's a C4, very nice from Grixa. Once again, it's his name on our lips to save the game for Soniqs, but he's going to have to do a whole lot more. 1v3, we've seen him do it before. Can he do it again? He's got information on the back of that BPC, and he's going to have to thread the needle. He does hit the first one. Vector in hand, covering the cross as users on the window didn't see him, and he does spray him down. MNM finally closes out what was a fairly dominant game, 7-3, taking down the Soniqs.
That was so impressive from MNM. They put all of my doubts to rest in that pre-match, taking us to defense, playing something really smart. They had an excellent read onto the Soniqs. It just never felt like the Soniqs were there to match pace, match the strap book. MNM was there all the way along.
A huge game from MNM. What a phenomenal start on their defense. They let it slip a little bit in the second half. They let Soniqs get back into it, but there's no doubt in my mind, MNM will be very happy with that result. A huge dub, the full 3 points, a morning win as well, if you want to bring that up.
Yes.
For Soniqs, though, that's a pretty hard L to cop. That was such a difficult first half.
I'm just so impressed by how much prep MNM clearly put into that matchup. That one, all the strats were clearly so tailored into the way that Soniqs were able to approach that map, right? It felt like everything that Soniqs were trying to do, they were immediately met by an MNM player there. Even when Soniqs tried to pull some tricks up their sleeve, like playing some odd cutoffs and stuff like that, MNM were disciplined about it. They didn't give anything away because of how good their read was in that game. And I'm just so impressed by the amount of prep work that that team has brought into this LAN environment.
A big win for MNM. We'll break it down in just a moment, so don't go anywhere.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a two-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Wow, what a game we were just treated to kick off the major, and a big win for EU, a big win for MNM in the morning, no less. Soniqs struggled in that one. They only found 3 rounds, but for MNM, what a way to do it. That 5-1 half was nuts.
Impressive. Seriously, some impressive stuff. I questioned them. I questioned that defense side. I was like, why are you doing that against the Soniqs? They're scary on the entry. But as soon as they went into the lobby, they showed us their strat book. They showed the way that they were contesting the map early and being so disciplined and careful about it. I went, okay, these guys know exactly what they're doing on Chalet.
Yeah, it was definitely MNM's game in the first half, I tell you that much. They won every single opening engagement. And to be honest, it probably should have been a 6-0. Grixer won a 1v3 with a 4K to get the only round that Soniqs won on the attacking side. It would have actually been a 7-0 had he not won that. because MNM did win their first attack round. So that would have been a slobber knocker. That would have been a stomping. That would have been a really embarrassing way to go out. So to be honest, if I'm Soniqs, I'm thanking Grixer that he gave them a chance to at least put up a bit of a fight in that second half.
Well, I think for Soniqs, it's pretty tough into that game, right? When you're being shut down like that so much, what you need is some really strong problem-solving skills. That's why they took their tactical timeout, try and change their approach. But even off the back of that, they weren't able to change things up enough. They weren't able to throw MNM off enough that they could claw around together. I think that's I suppose, the downfall of having a little bit of a newer roster, 5 players that haven't been playing for as long as MNM, where they're really comfortable, they're really fluid on a map like Chalet.
Yeah, it started off so dominant as well. Only 1 kill from Soniqs in the first round, only 2 kills in the second round. We even had a flawless round as well, which was MNM's start to the second half. It was a very, very slow start for Soniqs. So, yeah, I mean, it's back to the drawing board for them. There's still a lot of hype behind this team and this new roster, bringing on Geo, for example, with all his experience. But for me, the MVP of this game, and I think for everyone, has got to be the Turk, Solotov. What a monster. What a nutcase. He went 10 kills before he even died.
Yeah, and we can see in these replays, well, 10-1, now 11-1 as well off the back of that. It's just
15
insane.
at the end of the game.
Yeah, that is insane how effective he was on that alibi license, that 1.5 times on a Chalet. You just run around, do your thing. That is the perfect player that you want on that role.
Yeah, 100%. He lived up to the expectation. And in the second half, we started to see Soniqs find their feet again. Grixer had some good moments. Also Gunner as well. Big plays from him. Kept Soniqs in the game for a couple of more rounds, but it was not to be. Ended up a 7-3. And MNM have really shown us what they're capable of, particularly on this map, I will say.
Absolutely. It felt like MNM, I want to point out Nello as well, who's the IGL and the captain of this team. On the attacking half that we saw, each round he brought out something different. Every single round, right? This round, he's playing Nomad. The round before that, he was playing Thermite because he knew they wanted to go for a back take onto the basement. The round before that, he was bringing Hibana. That kind of thing, right? Every single round, you've got a player like Nello who's actively problem solving and saying, I'm the IGL, this is my vision of the round, I'm going to pick this. And having your IGL on a flex hard breach role like that on Chalet, because you don't really need hard breach like that on every site, is so dangerous, so dangerous, and it makes this roster lethal.
One thing I really love about MNM, they've been the same team, no roster changes, for over a year, and yet when you watch them, they still look fresh. They still play like they have that drive. They're not kind of dried up. They aren't a bit jaded. They haven't got complacent. They haven't got too set in their ways. They're still mixing things up. And occasionally it's just a matter of get in the server and show what you can do. Just really assert your dominance, disrespect your opponents. That was what we saw at the start. There was just so many kills after kills from Solotov in particular. Inside the building, just shooting people outside. Like contesting windows, contesting unfavored angles, because he knows he can win them.
And that's what you need to do on Chalet, right? Chalet is such like a window-centric, like there's lots of doors that are external, and so being able to contest those cutoffs in the right way, that you're not making silly mistakes and running into lines of sight like that, is really important. And Solotov, you can tell he's scrimmed that hundreds of times, right? Every angle, he pre-fired through the barricade, right? Everywhere he went, he jiggle-peeked what he needed to, made sure that the intel was there before he made that decision to go across, and that's what separates a good team from a great team on Chalet.
Yeah, and for me, for Soniqs, what can we say is a consolation in that game? Not a lot on their attacks, unfortunately.
Very tough.
Yeah,
it's very tough.
Really tough for that attacking side. Funnily enough, we talked a little bit about how we thought it would be attacking favoured on Chalet. Historically, I mean, in Stage 3, it has been either even in EU or slightly defender favoured in NA. But I expected more from Soniqs on their attack. Even on their defense, the fact that they lost that first round flawlessly to that rush from MNM, it's scary. And you can compare, right? Soniqs, when they try to rush, they ended up losing the round. MNM managed to retake. I think it was like a 2vx at the end. And in contrast, when MNM goes for the rush, Soniqs don't even find a single kill.
Well, I think when you make rush calls like that, it depends entirely on the pacing and the momentum and the feel of the game, right? For MNM, at that point, they knew that they were so many rounds up on Soniqs that they could pull off something like that, right? They knew that Soniqs were going to be too disconnected to coordinate a retake in such a short amount of time, right? And so going for that push round 1 when you've just had a 5-1 attack half is the perfect time to take it, if you ask me.
Dominance. is.
And not only that, but it shows that MNM have grown so much as a team in this LAN environment. Can you imagine MNM at their first LAN pulling that kind of thing off? Like, absolutely not. That takes confidence, that takes experience, and that's what MNM has come to be.
And with our first game of the major done and dusted, this is how the group is looking. This is Group A. M&M sitting very happily at the top, full 3 points out of that game. Wonderful. Really great for them. This is the group I would say that is the most even, I think, Mandy. I feel like this is 4 teams that no one expects any of these teams to be winning the major, right?
Yep.
But all of them can make it to playoffs. Like, any two out of these could be, like, honestly, flip a coin. It could be any two. It could easily be Cyclops and Black Dragons, who are the two that haven't played yet. It could easily be M&M and Black. I mean, it could be exactly as we see it right now at the end of it. It could be Soniqs that makes a comeback and still wins it, because they still have so many games to play.
I would have to agree with you on that. I think if there's any group that's most tightly contested, I think it is Group A. And I think all of these games are sort of going to be in that fashion where they're going to be very close. Not only that, but each team in this group, even though they are tightly contested, they have very unique identities. M&M and Soniqs don't play like each other at all. Neither do Black Dragons. Black Dragons are very support-rounded team, right? Even though they're from Latam. So CAG are completely in their own realm. They're in their own league of play style, right? And so even though it's such a tightly contested team, every BO1 is going to be really unique. It's a really hard group to prepare for, if you ask me.
I also reckon, even for M&M, they played with so much more aggression than I would have expected out of M&M after seeing them in Berlin. Like, the same roster doesn't mean you're going to have them playing the same way. And Soniqs as well, I would almost put kind of the flip side of that. They really struggled. They didn't quite have as much direction, particularly in the opening kill department. That is where I got really worried for Soniqs.
It's also where I was worried for Soniqs, because I consider Soniqs, especially with that death trio, to be really strong in that early game, really hard to contest. Those three, Grixer, Kansan, and Rexon, are really good at holding onto just their one segment of the map and making it their territory. And then as they played their defending half when they swapped over, we just didn't see that. And it made me feel really, I don't know, just heartbroken for the Soniqs identity, because I feel like that's really where it lies.
Well, that game is done and dusted, and M&M take the first win of the group stage. But guess what? We have another game coming up next. It's Direwolves from APAC versus FaZe. 1 year ago, they were major champions here in Sweden. Let's see if they can start their new Sweden major off with a win. That'll be up in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.